I am completely astrology geeking out, and I wanted to share my excitement with all of you. So you're going to think I'm a little crazy, and that's okay. Unless you're a professional astrologer. If you're a professional astrologer, you're not going to think I'm because this is just, this is how we roll. So before I get started, welcome back for those of you who have been to my channel before, and a big warm welcome for anyone here for the first time. My name is Maria D. Simone. I am a professional astrologer. You can find out more about me and my work at insightfulastrology.com, where I offer personal consultations and I have an entire astrology school. So this is basically the follow-up, the part two to the original video that I posted on August 15th, where I cast a horary chart for myself, asking the question, do I have skin cancer? So I will link that video in the description box below, and I'll put it up here somewhere at the end of the video, at the end of this video, so you can click on it to make it more convenient. This is a more advanced technique, a branch of astrology. It is one of the more ancient branches of astrology where you ask a specific question and an astrologer is trained in the techniques to answer that specific question by casting a horoscope for the moment in time when the astrologer understands the question. I graduated from a course. It was a full course, a professional horary astrology course from the School of Traditional Astrology back in June. So I graduated from this course, but I haven't been ready to offer this service professionally yet because my preference is always to practice new techniques on my own for a while. And I thought I would start to do this with you guys in real time with these videos so that I can document my learning, you can see the growth, and also maybe it'll spark an interest in horary astrology for some of you. So I asked this question, and I'm not even going to waste my time on the whole backstory to it. It's all explained in the first video, the whole backstory of it. And my judgment of the question was no, I do not have skin cancer. So yesterday, on August 22nd, I was surprised to receive a phone call from my dermatologist giving me the results of the biopsy. And the biopsy results came a week early because originally she told me it could take around 2 weeks, and I expected to be in England. I'll be going to an astrology conference in England next week, and I expected to be there when I got the phone call from the dermatologist, but thank God I got the results earlier. So I'm listening to her talk, and she's telling me the results of the biopsy are negative. So no, I do not have skin cancer. And I started jumping for joy, and I was so excited immediately. And initially, not because I didn't have skin cancer, but because I judged the horary chart correctly, I was just elated on cloud nine. And this is why I think some of you are going to think I'm absolutely bananas, because this is how astrologers are. We get super excited about seeing the astrology come alive, seeing the techniques correctly applied, seeing it lyrically, beautifully executed. And so I just had one of those moments, and I was super excited because this was a difficult chart for me to judge. And to be objective on because it was about me and I was correct in the judgment. And so that was my initial excitement. And then, of course, I remembered to be grateful and excited because I do not have skin cancer. So I'm going to show you the chart of the moment when the doctor called me with the results against the chart of the original horary, because I think it is fascinating. And anyone who studies horary astrology, when you get the answer or when you find the missing object or the missing person, if it's a missing person or object question, you tend to cast, if you know the time and the moment that occurred, you cast it against the original horary. And there are always these fascinating connections. So I wanted to share that with you. And I'm going to share my screen now and show you this. And here we go. This is a bi-wheel of the outer wheel is the moment in time yesterday when I got the phone call, and the inner wheel is the original horary chart. So, excuse me. The most remarkable thing that I noticed immediately was that Mercury retrograde, transiting Mercury retrograde, was exactly conjunct the sun of the horary chart, the natal sun. And here's why that is super interesting. The 10th house When you are doing a medical horary, it represents the cure and information about the cure. So the ruler of the 10th house is the sun. The sun is in its domicile, elevated, angular at the top of the chart, super strong, okay, really strong, amazing. And I knew that the truth would be revealed about this mystery, whether it was skin cancer or rash or something else. And I knew that the truth would come to light and I would get an answer and get a cure. I knew that very confidently when I saw that sun angular there. But the day I got the answer, so originally you can see the day that I cast the chart, Mercury was retrograde, but Mercury was at 29 degrees. The day I got the answer, the moment I got the answer, Mercury had retrograded to be exactly conjunct the sun, literally symbolizing coming back to give me the truth of the answer, the information, everything came to light. Fabulous. This was so exciting, guys. Oh my gosh, super exciting. And so I not only noticed that as being super significant when I got my answer, but I also want to draw your attention to the planet Mars here, because Mars is my significator. It is the ruler of the first house, the querent, and it is also the significator of the sixth house, representing the illness. So I went through the full discussion and treatment of Mars and all of that in the first video. But here's what's interesting. Jupiter, which was separated from a conjunction to Mars in the original horary, which I'm sorry, basically what happened was Jupiter had moved to make an exact conjunction to the original Mars placement the day that I got the news. And that to me was amazing because that lent more confirmation to the speed of which I got the biopsy results. It was a week early. And also, originally, I talked about that Jupiter-Mars conjunction as, the rash, the inflammation. It spread and it became a bigger problem very quickly. And that was the most recent thing that happened. And that was indicative of Jupiter separating from that conjunction. I'm sorry, Mars separating from the conjunction to Jupiter. It was just amazing to see that. And another really cool nugget is the fact that the moon, the transiting moon, is almost 13 degrees, 12 degrees, 49 minutes of Aries. And a rule in horary astrology with house cusps, and we only use the Regiomontanus house system for horary astrology. There's a rule where when a planet is within 5 degrees of the next house cusp, we are going to read it for being in the next house. So here we see that the moon is within that 5-degree orb. And so the moon technically is on the cusp, is in the 6th house. And the transiting moon gives us a lot of information because the moon is always the co-significator of the question. And it can also give incredible detail and information. It can also co-rule the parents sometimes. And so I thought it was fabulous and so telling that the moon in Aries, and I have Aries rising, by the way, the moon in Aries made its conjunction to the 6th house cusp, giving the answer, literally giving the answer. There's one other nugget that I want to show you that is so cool, but I have to go to the separate chart of the doctor's phone call to show you this. I want you to look at this chart and notice the angularity of transiting Mars at the time of me getting the phone call from the physician. This is such literal astrology, it can blow your mind. Remember, angular planets are loud and proud. The 7th house is representative of the physician treating the illness. Mars was me. Mars is conjunct the 7th house cusp. At the moment I received the information about the negative biopsy result. And the moon happens to be angular here in the actual standalone chart of when this all happened, when the phone call happened. I just thought this was so amazing, guys. It just added so much fuel to my passion, my growing passion for horary astrology. This is the standalone chart, which I did a whole separate video on. And I also think it's super interesting. In the original chart, I talked so much about how I felt like the doctor was rushing to give me a biopsy when it wasn't warranted. I was convinced that it was a ringworm rash from the beginning, actually. And I thought her giving me the biopsy was a little like she rushed to do that. Originally, I thought that. Now I realize that she basically had no choice because what she was looking at looked nothing like a ringworm rash anymore. Because originally, back in May, June, I went to my primary doctor and he looked at it and he said it could be eczema or it could be ringworm. And he gave me a cream that would treat both, but the cream had a steroid, it was a steroid cream. And I used it for the 2 weeks he recommended, maybe 12 days actually. It was a little less than 2 weeks. Then I went to Italy and I didn't bring the cream. Came back from Italy, and a week later it came back. So I started self treating. I started using it for a month, and I ended up creating a very big reaction and a whole other problem. So it was a combination of the doctors. Originally, the first doctor should have said, go to a dermatologist. And then after I came back from Italy, when the rash came back, I should have said, go to a dermatologist. I should have gone right then and there. Instead, I self treated it for a month with the original cream, which was the wrong cream to use for this type of rash. And so, long story short, the dermatologist, I definitely understand that she had to give me the biopsy because of what she was looking at, but it was an unnecessary medical procedure, and yet I created the situation. I contributed to it. So it was a complex, basically shit show of one of domino effect of one disaster after the next, and that was reflected in the original chart. So in the original video, I go through all that. So guys, I just wanted to share this with you. If you are a Horary astrologer, I welcome your comments and additional insights into the chart. Now that you can see the chart answered, the moment when I got the answer. And if you are not a Horary astrologer, if you're not well versed in Horary astrology, I do ask that you not share any comments about your astrological insights to this, because you're going to be applying techniques from a different branch of astrology that are incorrect for the branch of Horary astrology. And I don't want to spread confusion or misinformation on my channel about astrology. I'm trying to give correct information and be a teacher that shares this in a very wise, deliberate way. So if you're not versed in Horary astrology, if you've never heard of it before, I hope this video sparks you to look into it a little bit more and perhaps hire a Horary astrologer if you have a burning question that you want insight into. This is something that I will be offering as an additional service on my website in the new year. So stay tuned for that. And until then, if you want to connect with me, just go to insightfulastrology.com and we'll be talking real soon. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.